is that something that is similar to Christianity or Judaism? Well, for Christians who believe in Abraham, as Jews believe in Abraham, as being the first or the progenitor of this monotheistic belief, the belief in one God, then the answer would be yes, because this is what Muhammad taught. In fact, many people don't know this, but Muhammad, peace be upon him, he is a direct descendant from Abraham. Yes, by the way of his son Ishmael. So Ishmael is well known to be the father of many of the Arabs today, and it is from him, through Abraham, Ishmael, that we find others who come all the way down to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. What about the other prophets that came by way of Isaac, from the other branch of Abraham? Well, we know Moses, don't we? And David and Solomon, and of course Jesus. And we say, peace be upon them all. This is very important for Muslims to always say that. Peace be upon them. What was it that Abraham, Moses, David, Solomon, and Jesus had in common with Muhammad? Peace be upon all of them. Do you know what it was? It was the message that they brought to their people. Abraham taught the people to worship God directly and not be involved in false worship or pagan worship. Moses, my gosh, that's very clear, isn't it? When we look to the Ten Commandments, we find immediately the very first commandment is that you shall not have any other worship except for the one God. Thou shalt not have any other gods beside me, is the way God ordered Moses to write it down, isn't it? And David, with his Psalms, and Solomon, of course they were on the exact same thinking. Their beliefs were not just similar, they were identical. And then Jesus, peace be upon him. Many people will tell you that Jesus says this or he said that, but when we look to the Bible, you know what we find? We find that it wasn't Jesus who had these different opinions and ideas, it was actually Paul. The quotes from Jesus in the gospel are so identical to the prophets before, you can't help but notice it. For instance, in Matthew 5:17, when Jesus says, think not that I came to destroy the law and the prophets. I came not to destroy, but to fulfill. And not until all things are accomplished shall a single dot or jot or iota or tittle be in any wise lessened. So we see right away that he was saying, I'm holding up the Torah, the law from before. Then when we look further into the book of Mark, we see what is the greatest of all commandments. That's in 12:29, the book of Mark. And look what it says. When somebody was asking him, what's the greatest commandment? According to the English translation I have, it said that Jesus responded, it is to know, O Israel, the Lord your God is one Lord, and you have to love him with all your heart and your mind and your strength. So, obviously we know now that this message was very important. Worshiping God alone without partners. And that's exactly what Muhammad, peace be upon him, was trying to do with his people at his time in Mecca, because they had strayed far away from their great ancestor Abraham. They still performed some of the rituals, but without the proper belief. They still made a circumambulation around the very place that Abraham had built, along with his son Ismail, or Ishmael in English. And do you know, and this is an amazing thing when you think about it, these people were actually thinking they were doing exactly the same as their ancestors, but their ancestors had strayed so far away that all they had was the physical representation without any of the proper beliefs. Not in their worship, and certainly not the way they treated each other. These people had become alcoholics, they had become womanizers, they had become very bad in their business acumen, they were bad. We'll leave it at